I first met Bill Forsyth when I was still at school, and I was working. I had a part-time job in a restaurant after school called the Spaghetti Factory. And one day I was serving Bill, and as he was leaving, he said to me, "I'm going to be making a film next summer in Scotland, and I'd really like you to be in it." And I was like, yes, thank you very much. Just, keep me informed. And he said, "Well, can I take your phone number?" And I'd have been warned about giving strange men my phone number, so there was absolutely no way I was going to give Bill my number. I said, "No, if you need to contact me, you'll probably find me here." So about maybe 4 months later, the manager of the restaurant said, "Listen, Bill Forsyth's looking for you." So I did agree to meet him. Probably just as well. Making Gregory's Girl was an extraordinary experience for all sorts of different reasons. I had been in the Scottish Youth Theatre, and many of the cast had been in the Glasgow Youth Theatre, so I didn't really know anyone. And, we were very, very naive, and we entered into it in a way that we'd absolutely no idea what we were taking on. But I think the beauty of it is, I think our performances kind of reflect the fact that we had no idea that the film was going to go on to be the kind of huge international success it was. So I think that we were protected a little bit by not knowing what the scale of it to a certain extent. I mean, the things that I remember about Gregory's Girl is just being really impressed that they wanted to feed us. Film catering has always been a bit of a highlight to my day. It was just stuff like that, and having your makeup done and your hair done, and just actually having other adults talk to you. I mean, we were all pretty much straight out of school or still in school. So to have adults interested in us at all seemed quite odd. People often ask me what I prefer doing, singing or acting. And at the time the summer I left school, my band Altered Images was signed to a major record label, and Gregory's Girl came out. And I call it my double whammy because I've absolutely no idea why that happened to me, but I'm awfully glad it did. And, 35 years on, I'm just delighted to still be working. And I know that might not sound very glamorous, but I love the opportunity to do things and to still have the opportunity to both act and sing and present has been brilliant. It really has. I feel passionate about all of it. I mean, when I was growing up in Glasgow, I really did want to be an actress, and so it was really quite extraordinary that this opportunity was handed to me on a plate, by Bill Forsyth to be in Gregory's Girl. I mean, I couldn't have written that myself. It was perfect. So I felt hugely, it's only in hindsight I realised what a big deal it was because, the film was so amazingly successful. I think that I always wanted to act, and it's given me an amazing calling card, the film Gregory's Girl, to keep going. Comfort and Joy was my next film after Gregory's Girl, and I think there was probably a 4-year gap, 3-4-year gap. And in the meantime, I was very busy with Altered Images. I mean, I didn't plan anything. There was no master plan. I didn't have some kind of career structure or marketing team or any of those things. I was just kind of bluffing my way around to quite crazy businesses. And I remember meeting up with Bill coming home to Glasgow, as I'd been on tour all over the world with the band, and he said, "I really want you to do Comfort and Joy with me." And I really, really wanted to do it. So I remember meeting up with Clive and Davina in LA, and because I'm not sure they were totally convinced that I would be able to pull off this Italian moody character. So I had to do a bit of convincing, and fortunately they went along with it. And it was a weird period for me because it did take me back to Glasgow for weeks, which I hadn't done in years. I'd been so busy on the move with the band, and it made me realise how homesick I had been. And it was a very, very emotional experience for me because not long after I made Comfort and Joy, I decided to leave the band because I just thought I can't keep going like this. I mean, I'd eaten a lot of ice cream, and there's such a massive tradition for Italian cafes all over Glasgow, and I've probably been to every one and sampled all their ice cream. But in terms of that kind of turf war, I didn't know anything about it. It just seemed like a really funny backdrop to the whole situation with Bill. I think that comfort and joy came out of a period in Glasgow, and I'm probably not the best person to answer this question, but I do think it certainly reflected a change in Glasgow in all sorts of ways, because I think that Glasgow just, well, even the fact that people were making movies in Glasgow, and Comfort Joy was one of them, represents the change in what was going on in Glasgow. I think that, I think it does kind of, Glasgow was becoming I think Glasgow's always been an incredibly cultured city. I just think it was beginning to be recognised more for that. I remember because we shot everything either very early in the morning, kind of, it was dawn or dusk kind of thing. And I think probably I saw Glasgow in a completely different light for the first time, because it was truly magical seeing it. And, that was Bill Forsyth's vision, to have this kind of really twinkly, dewy view of Glasgow. And I think it really works. I loved working with Bill Patterson and Alex Norton, I have to say as well. The two of them basically took the mickey out of me for the entire, 6 weeks, whatever it was that I was involved, which was great fun because they were a little bit older than me. And in fact, they worked out that the year that they left drama school, I was in primary one. So this just gave them an enormous amount of ammunition to use against me in many ways. But we had a really, really lovely time. And I learned from them. They were amazing at just keeping me, because it was quite a big departure for me, playing this kind of moody Italian girl. And they really kept me on track in the nicest possible way. They were really, really helpful, and they just boosted my confidence. And they're the kind of actors that you want to work with, that are going, just like helping you along, all helping each other along. They are the naughtiest men I know. It was a kind of childhood dream to be stuck in a sweet shop, or better still, the back of an ice cream van for weeks on end, which happened to me in Comfort and Joy. And I can remember, I'm still really good friends with the prop master, David Balfour, who one day gave me a row for eating the props. And I went, well, you can't stick me in the back of an ice cream van and not expect me to sample some of the goods. And he went, we don't mind that, Claire. It's the giving out the ice cream to the rest of the cast and crew. So I obviously really embraced my role. I tried to convince them that was me just doing it in a method style. There's just so many lovely moments for me. Just great people. Just Glasgow has a great sense of humour. I just had an enormous sense of coming home when I made that film. I really did. I talked earlier about how I'd been on the move constantly for about 4 years. And I was very young, and I just suddenly felt this genuine warm embrace by my hometown making that film. And I know that probably sounds a bit corny, but we had a great time. It was a big adventure. We'd be up all night doing like late night scenes in the ice cream workshop, and just everybody was really into it. And it was all coming off the back of Bill Forsyth's amazing success with Local Hero, so we were just all feeling so good about it. I think there was a feeling that Comfort and Joy hadn't delivered on the level that everybody expected. I was very aware of it, and since we made it a long time ago, I've now discovered that Bill Patterson and Alex Norton felt that very much as well, and we've only really spoken about it in recent times, and it kind of made me really. I think we all felt in some way responsible for that. And then the Glasgow Film Festival showed a 25th anniversary screening of it, and they invited us along. And I watched it, and I very rarely watch anything I do, but I kind of was very curious about Comfort and Joy. And I have to say, I liked it a lot more than I expected it to. I really thought this is an incredibly charming, funny, moving film. And maybe that doesn't quite have the payoff that you want at the end, but I think it's almost doesn't matter because so much of it is just so joyous. I think that everything that Bill Forsyth has done has some kind of cult status or some kind of international recognition. I think there's a huge Bill Forsyth fan club out there, and I'm part of that fan club. I really am. I think Bill has a very unique, true vision. I think that, you know, he just does what he does, and he does it brilliantly well, and you either get it or you don't. And I think there's enough people out there who really get it. It's interesting, there's a project that I've got my name linked to at the moment, which is quite Bill Forsythish. And I think there was a period after Gregory's Girl that a lot of people tried to sort of recreate the magic and mood of all of that. And a lot of them did not a bad job. But I think that has got lost. And I think maybe it's because I'm a mum and I've got kids, but I think there's something to be said for making films that have charm to them and warmth and romance, and it's not all about blood and guts and gore. Or, I mean, I think you know, a good film's a good film. I don't care what the genre is. If it works, it works. But I certainly grew up with romantic comedies. My mum, you know, introduced me to Doris Day and Goldie Hawn, and I just kind of love that as a genre. I don't think I think sometimes it's easy to call them fluffy, and, you know, they can be quite dismissed. And I think there's some brilliant films that are made with warmth and truth and charm. And I think that has gotten lost a little bit in British cinema. I really do. So I think there's room for it. I really think if it's done well, there's room for it. I think that Glasgow is changed enormously in the 30 years since it was made. I really do. I mean, I think that Glasgow I'm its #1 fan, and always have been and always will be. I think culturally, though, it's finally getting the kind of recognition that it deserves. It really does. I mean, I think it's always been there. I just think that it's been slow, very slow for people to recognise it. I think that Glasgow has got a lot to offer in terms of creativity and filmmakers, and when I was growing up in Glasgow in the sort of 70s and the 80s, anything seemed possible. And I think that's what I love about Glasgow. It doesn't seem that we're included in it. We're part of this world, and we can do it. We can pull it off. We can pull anything off. Obviously, I'm being paid by the Glasgow Tourist Board. I'm not. I love Glasgow. I can't help it. I think Bill Forsyth is an amazing writer, and I think that when you read his scripts, you totally get it. So when it comes to performing and acting in his films, it's kind of there for you, because it's all in the story, it's all in the words. And then you've got him. I think I read recently about Gordon saying that he used to find Bill quite off-putting because he would be just sniggering quite a lot off camera. And it's like, are you laughing with us? And I just think that Bill has a softness to him, but a directness to him that makes you feel very, very comfortable within that environment. I never felt frightened, and I'm quite a nervous performer. And when I'm with Bill, I got that sense of that he trusted me. And I think that he was really good at spoon feeding you ideas, but making you think it's kind of come from yourself. I love him.